Well, listeners, as you know, we have started to take a look at some of the shows that will be on as part of this year's Melbourne Fringe Festival. And the latest show I want to take a look at is a show called Beyond The Beehive, Amy Winehouse's musical mastery. It's been put together by performer Carol Whitfield, and we thought we would actually get Carol on the show today to chat a little bit about this amazing show. So welcome to the program, Carol.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Now, Carol, this sounds like an absolutely amazing show, and I was wondering if you could start off by telling us a little bit about how this show has come together for you. What has made you want to do a show all around Amy Winehouse's music?
Sure. So, 2018, I was thinking about doing a show of impressions because I'm a bit of a mimic in the voice department, and I was thinking I'll do Barbara Streisand, will I do Karen Carpenter, and then Amy Winehouse. And at the time, I was pretty obsessed with Amy Winehouse's Back to Black album. I was just playing it on repeat, and I was formulating this show, and it was like, Amy Winehouse, she needs a show on her own. Like, she didn't sit with the others. And so I started researching her and thinking about how I would put the show together. And a lot of the shows talk about her personal life, which was all over the tabloids. They'll sing her songs, but then they'll talk about her personal life. And I was sort of thinking, I don't know if I really want to do that. And as I was researching her, the story of her talent and how she put her music together and the impact it had on the musical world was just the most fascinating story. And it's like, this is way more interesting, talking about, a dad or a boyfriend and the substances. It was just a fascinating story, and I felt like people don't know this story. People say, oh, yeah, Amy Winehouse, great voice. What a shame she died so young. But I think all the tabloid stuff has sort of overtaken her legacy, and it's just a story that I absolutely love telling. And each time, people love hearing it and learn so much. And I'm just really passionate, actually, about getting the word out there as well as singing her great music.
What was it about Back to Black as an album that really captured you? I know it's an album that so many people around the world fell in love with. For you as a performer, what was it about that album that made you just want to do this, really?
Yeah, so as a singer, she's just such a virtuoso of singing. Like, she's got the background in jazz. She's got the soul, incredible soul stylings, but also just so innovative and modern. And what she does with her voice is just so, it's just so playful and innovative and yeah, virtuosic. It was just, I just couldn't stop listening to it. And then, of course, the songs themselves are just so captivating. They call back an earlier era, but they're also really modern. And in my research, I came across this article by NPR in America about how her music references older styles. It's a combination of different styles of music, which I hadn't realised before. I was already fascinated with it before then. And so I started looking into that, and that's a fascinating story. Like, she's got all these little Easter eggs through her music, like referencing older songs. Like, little drum beats will be the same drum beat as in a Ronettes song. Obviously, she loved the Ronettes. She loved 60s girl groups. The whole Beehive and eyeliner situation is a nod to the Ronettes and those 60s girl groups. And just there's so many more. And she used, in her music, they called it the crossover style, which is basically combining two or more different kinds of music to make something new and different. And it's kind of been done before in the past. I've listening to a lot of Mark Ronson interviewers, who's one of her producers, and he was talking about how he'd known about this crossover style and heard it a little bit. But when she came to him and had this idea, he just sort of thought, oh, that sounds like a great idea, and they ran with it. And it's just a masterwork. Like, almost every song, when you dig into it, it's got these little references to some earlier song. Yeah, so it's an awesome story. it's fascinating as well because like she was steeped in jazz, like she started in jazz, but she also loved hip hop. And her family, she had family members, of uncles, I think, and her dad and her grandmother were jazz singers or musicians. And she was just such a natural. Like her jazz improvisation was just off the charts. And a feature of jazz, as I found out looking into this, is to sort of quote, like jazz artists will quote other famous jazz songs.
Yeah.
They'll do a little kind of, like a lyric or a phrase or an instrumentation that references an earlier song. And she did that in her music. So not only was it the music she was referencing, she sort of also used jazz styles, like a jazz thing to put into her own music. It's just an incredible story.
Now you know about those little Easter eggs and those little crossovers and things like that. Does that approach change how you approach doing her music during the show as well?
Yeah, not really. I mean, I just do the songs as close as I can to, to do justice to the songs. I sort of point some of them out. I'll sing her songs, and then between the commentary, I sort of chronologically tell the story of her career, and then sort of explain to the audience a bit about all these different references, and then I'll play the song and I'll sort of reference it. So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, she had a very, very unique voice as well as a very unique sound. For you, emulating that voice and that sound, did you find that difficult to be able to do that, or does it come quite naturally to you?
I'm kind of a bit of a natural mimic. Well, for about a year, actually, I was basically singing. Whenever I was in the car, I'd play it full blast and try and copy her voice. And I'm a natural mimic, but I'm certainly not a jazz or a soul singer, actually. But I've got quite a low voice. I've got a similar range to her, and I'm a mimic, so I've sort of I can copy what she does. Not exactly, I think. Not that many people could copy her voice exactly. Like you say, it's so unique. It's so full on. Like, you could sound ridiculous trying to do exactly what she does. And in a way, my voice, I mean, I can mimic her, but my natural voice is quite different. I'm classically trained. I'm a music theatre performer. So it's not my natural style at all. But as a music theatre performer, you're an actor. You play other roles. You play different characters. And you sing differently, so I guess it's sort of, it's part of the skill. But it's certainly a tough gig. Like people like how I sing Amy Winehouse, but it certainly is hard as a performer to always be listening to her and trying to emulate one of the greatest singers of all time. It's it can be like, oh my God, am I doing her justice? But someone who came after the show told me that when I started singing, when I started the show, he said, oh, okay, so she's not trying to mimic Amy Winehouse exactly. Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough. But then he said by the end of the show, he felt like he was listening to Amy Winehouse. So I guess initially it's like, oh, that's not quite Amy Winehouse. But then I think I've listened to her for so long and I've sung the songs for so long. I feel like I sort of embody her to the degree that by the end of it, you've sort of not comparing anymore, and you've sort of taken away with my performance. It's a bit like I remember when I saw the Elton John movie biopic that they did. It was a bit of a musical. I remember at the start thinking, oh, that's not Elton John, and then by the end, it's like I didn't even care anymore. You're just taken away with the story, and you sort of fall in love with that performer, and maybe it's a bit the same with my show.
Yeah. Talking of that story, it sounds like you've done a lot of research for the spoken word parts of the show as well. What was the one thing that you discovered during that research that really surprised you, or that really impressed you when you were doing that research? What did you find that really surprised you?
Well, one was what I mentioned in that she referenced earlier songs in her songs. I was blown away by that. But think there's so much I was blown away by. Also, I guess the fact that I've listened to lots and lots of live performances of her, and she never does the same performance twice.
Yep.
That's a real jazz, obviously, thing. Like she'll never do the same one twice, and her improvisations are always on point. Like even when, there were times when obviously she wasn't well at all and not her best, but even through all of that, you listen to what she was doing with her voice, the improvisations and the different ways she sang the melody each time. Even through everything, her improvisations were just fantastic. Like no bum note.
Yep.
Like just so incredible. And her range, I don't know, I could go on, Dave. And her range, like she had a massive range. Like she'd go all really, really low. But then even like just I think 6 months ago, I was on Instagram. Someone had posted a live video of her, and she improvised in one of her songs up into a high D above a high C, which is like an incredibly high soprano note. And she just went so easily. It's like she could have gone like higher. She just, I'll just do this and then come back down again and keep singing. She's just a master. It's just incredible.
Yeah. Was it difficult for you to pick which tracks you wanted to do with the show, or was that quite an easy process for you?
It kind of came pretty easily, actually. I knocked the show together pretty quickly. I do more off Back to Black than Frank, her first album. And then I do some covers, some notable covers as well, a few famous ones and a few not so famous ones. It kind of came together well. I don't know, I think I put a good story together, you know what I mean? It's sort of, it's put together in a chronological way. It sort of really tells a story. And so I'll say a bit of commentary, and then the next song will sort of follow on logically from that and sort of demonstrate a bit what I've just spoken about. So, it kind of came together pretty easily.
Awesome. So for all of our listeners out there, if you do want to head along and check out Beyond The Beehive, Amy Winehouse's Music Mastery, it is on as part of Melbourne Fringe Festival from the 15th to the 19th of October at the MC Showroom, and we will put a link up on our website where you can go to grab tickets for this amazing show as well. Carol, I guess to finish off, what would you like to say to people out there who are thinking about heading along and checking out this show?
Yeah, so I would say you're going to hear a whole bunch of your favourite Amy Winehouse songs, and then some maybe a bit less familiar songs or that you haven't heard at all, but you're also going to hear just a wonderful, uplifting story about one of the greatest talents of our time. A lot of Amy Winehouse shows, you come home, feeling like a stiff drink yourself because, it's pretty depressing telling the story of her life, but there's just this story of her music. It's like people come away from my show exhilarated. Like, they go, wow, I didn't know all that stuff. It's amazing. They leave the show with a big smile on their face and wanting to go home and look more up about Amy Winehouse and listen to her music, and I just love that. So, yeah.
Definitely. So once again, listeners, if you want to head along and check out Beyond the Beehive, Amy Winehouse's Musical Mastery, it is on as part of Melbourne Fringe Festival. It's on from the 15th to the 19th of October at the MC Showroom in Paran, and we will put a link for where you can grab your tickets on our website. So check out subcultureentertainment.com.